Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Gura Prishtaya Bhutare Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Vaneti Namine Vandeham Bhakti Chakoram Gaurangane Preshtitam Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Samivanam Namastubhyam Shirade Ekanishtitam Rasayana Katamritam Sankirtanam Nandadam Goswaminam Varam Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namane Shri Krishna Lirakatane Suddaksha Muddarya Maddarya Gunaishcha Yuktam Varam Varanyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tvam Shrisan Mami Namo Vishnu Padaya Shri Keshava Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Vamaniti Namane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutare Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavari Pishchacha Deshatarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Charya Simha Rupine Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshavayati Namine Atimacha Charitraya Swashitanam Chapaline Jivaduke Sadartaya Nama Premadayane Gurushraya Vigrahaya Krishna Kamaikacharine Rupanuga Privadaya Vinodeti Swarupine Prabhupadantarangaya Savasad Gunashaline Maya Valatamoganaya Vrandartavade Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutare Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Tinamine Shri Vaishnava Devi Dayataya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Dayine Prabhave Namaha Madhurjvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Siddhanta Dvantahadine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambure Padam Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavraneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Surato Pangur Mama Mandamater Gati Matsarvasva Parambojo Shri Radha Madana Mohano Divya Brindaranya Kopadrumata Shri Madat Nagara Simhastanashto Shrimad Radha Shira Govinda Devo Preshalipi Sivamano Smarami Shrimad Rasarasarambi Vamshi Vata Tatashtitaha Karshan Venu Swaner Gopir Gopinata Shri Estuna Vrindaye Tulasi Devyaye Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Page 23. Krishna hoite chato mukha hoya Krishna sevan mukha Brahma hoite nada dedamati Narada hoite vyasa Madhvaka e vyasa dasa Purna pragna padmana bhagavati Nihari madhava vamshe Akshobhya param ahamse Shishamboli angi karakore Akshobhyera shisha jaya Dhamrapame parichaya Tadadase jnana sindutore Tahoite doya nidhi Tadadasya vidya nidhi Tahoite hoido tahoite Tahara kinkara jaya Dhamaname parichaya Parampara janabala mahate Jaya dharma dasya kyati Shri Purushottama jati Tahoite brahmanya tirtha sohori Vyasati tatara dasa Lakshmi pati vyasa dasa Tahoite madhavendra puri Madhavendra puri vada shisha vada shri ishvada Nityananda shri advaita vibhu Ishvara puri ke danya korilenya shri chaitanya Jaga Guru Gaura Mahaprabhu Mahaprabhu Shri Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nayanya Dupanuga Jane Rajivana Vishambhara Priyankara Shri Swarupa Damodara Shri Goswami Rupa Sanatana Rupa Priya Mahajana Jiva Raghunatha Hana Tara Priya Kavi Krishna Dasa Krishna Dasa Priya Vada Narottama Seva Pada Jara Pada Vishwanatha Asha Vishwanatha Bhakta Sata Baladeva Jagannatha Tara Priya Shri Bhakti Vinoda Mahabhagavata Vada Shri Gaura Kishora Vada Hari Bhajanete Jara Mora Shiva Shabana Vivara Sada Sevya Seva Pada Tada Daita Dasana Hama Prabhupada Antaranga Shri Swarupa Rupa Nuga Shri Keshava Bhakati Pragyahana Gaudiya Vedanta Veta Maya Bharata Hanta Gauravani Prachara Chadama Prachariro Gauravani Bhakati Vedanta Swami Puraniro Prabhupada Kama Kesha Priya Mahajana Vamanana Dayanana Gauravani Tade Pranadahana E Sabahari Jana Gaurangera Nija Jana Tadero Chiste Morakama Guru Parampara Guru Parampara Parampara Guru Parampara Parampara Guru Parampara Parampara Guru Parampara page 36. Vrindavana Vasi Jato Vaishnavera Gahana Pratame Vandana Kori Sabara Charahana Nilachala Vasi Yato Mahaprabhurgana Gurmite Podiya Vando Aparacharana Navadvipa Vasi Jato Mahaprabhu Bhakta Sabharacharana Vando Hoya Anurakta Mahaprabhu Bhakta Jato Godadeshe Sthiti Sabharacharana Vando Koriya Pranohati Jedeshe Baise Gaurangera Gana Udvabahu Kori Vando Sabharacharana Hoyachena Hoyi Bena Prabhujapto Dasa Sabharacharana Vando Dante Korigasa Brahmandatorite Shakti Dare Jane Jane Evera Purane Guna Gaya Jeva Shunim Mahaprabhu Gana Sava Patita Pavana Mui Papin Lo Inusharana Vandana Korite Mui Kati Shakta Dori Kamo Buri Doshe Mui Damba Matra Kori Tatapi Mukera Bhagya Manera Ulasa Tokshakshami Mohadami Koro Nidasa Sarva Vancha Siddhi Hoy Yama Banda Chute Jagate Dulabha Hoy Prema Dana Lute Manera Vasana Puna Achirate Hoya Devaki Nandana Dasa Elo Bekoya Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jayo Vaishnav Thakur Vaishnav Thakur Jaya Vaishnav Thakur. Page 200. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Brinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jivakaya Dori Swaparshada Swiyadama Saha Avatari Atyanta Durlabha Prema Karibari Dahana Shikaya Sharana Gati Bhakatera Prana Kanyatmani Vedana Gopdripve Varana Avasharakshi Be Krishna Vishvasa Palana Bhakti Anukula Matra Gayera Svikara Bhakti Pratikula Bhava Vajanangikara Sharanga Sharana Gati Oibe Jahara Tara Pratana Shune Shinanda Kumara Rupa Sanatana Pade Dante Trina Kohori Vakati Vinora Pade Tupada Dori Kandiya Kandiya Vole Amita Adama Shikaye Sharanagati Kane Utama Jaya Swarparshada Jaya Goda Hari Swarparshada Jaya Goda Hari Shada Jaya Goda Hari Swarparshada Jaya Goda Hari. Page 86. Yeah. Swa Parshada. So if you look on page 200 at that prayer, the second line of the first verse, Swa Parshada, his associates. Page 86. We'll do it together. Gauranga Habe Gauranga Pulaka Shari. Keep on doing it. Pundite Habe Pulaka Shari Ra Hari Hari Bonite Na Yane Babenira Adaka Benita Chare Karuna Hoibe Samsara Vasana Mora Kabetu Chahabe Vishaya Chadiya Kabe Shudahabe Mahana Kabeha Mahera Bo Shri Vrindavana Rupada Gunata Pade Oibe Akuti Kabehama Bunja Bose Jugala Piriti Rupada Gunata Pade Rahumora Hasha Pratana Karoye Sada Naratamadasa Gauranga Bonite Habe Purakasharira Hari Hari Bonite Na Yane Babenida Jaya Nita Jaya Go Jaya Nita Jaya Go. Should we do Radha and Krishna or separate Krishna and Radha? Okay. Does anybody want to lead a Krishna one? Krishna first. Okay, page 340. 343. Yeah. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande Manmanasam madhukaram arpayan nijapada pankajamakarande. Krishna Deva Pavantam Vande. Yadyapi samadhishu viryarapi pashyate natava nakagram murichim. Idami chamini shamyatava juta tarapi kripan bhutavichim. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Bhakti Rudanchati Yaryapi Madhava Natvaye Mamati Lambatri. Parameshvarata Tarapita Vadika Durgata Gata Navidhatri. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Ayam avilodhate yarya sanatana kalita bhutara samparam. Nivasatu nityamiham ritanindini vindan madari masaram. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Krishna Deva Bhavantam Vande. Krishna He, Krishna He, Krishna He, Krishna He.
It's Radha Krishna Pranamoy, page... What page? Radha Krishna Pranamora Yugala Kishora Jivane Marane Gati Arana Himora. Pandira kule kele kandambera vana vatana Sira Upa Pasabo Tujana Shama Kori Ange Divochua Chandane Ganda Shamara Tudabo Kabe Haribo Mukachanda Katia Malati Mala Divodo Kale Adare Julia Divo Kapura Tambure Lalita Vishakadi Jatosaki Vrinda Agnaya Koribo Seva Charanara Vinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasaranu Dasa Seva Vilasa Kare Narottama Dasa Radha Krishna Pranamora Yugala Kishora Shivane Marane Gati Harana Himora Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radhe Govinda, Jaya Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Jaya Radhe Govinda. Jaya Radhe Govinda, Jaya Radhe Govinda, Radhe Govinda, Jaya Radhe Govinda.
Jam session. Jam session. Jazzing it up. Not good. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Raman Vihari, Radha Raman Vihari, Radha Raman Vihari Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Raman Vihari, Radha Raman Vihari Radhe. Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Gurudeva, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya. Nitai Gauda Haribo, 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 Nitai Gauda Haribo, I Gauda Haribo, 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 Nitai Gauda Haribo, Nitai Gauda Haribo, 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 Gauda Haribo, Nitai Gauda Haribo. Nitai Gauda Haribo. Gaur Premanande. He'll be great, yeah. He's smiling so big.
As a musician, it's either that was good.
And that was a nice tune. Maybe we could do that again tonight. That would be nice. So, Didi overdid it this morning. Walking, being out in the cold. Yeah, she's still recovering, and she thought she was better. She went for her 4 rounds.
That is how long it takes to do.
4 rounds for 4 rounds, yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think my first, or the 8 years on tour with Gurudev, my whole, talk about, the repetitive thoughts and repetitive statements, was go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. And then sometimes she would, and then she'd get up in the middle, after I went to sleep, she'd get back up. Devotees have told on her, to me. And I've seen it in the painting. She'd be painting, and because I would give a massage every night when she goes to bed, and then I'd come the next morning, and like things have changed on the painting. I'm like, when did that happen? Especially with the dry sheet painting, it was really amazing. We used to have a temple in LA, and not the Rose Temple. Before that, it was a small house on and like right by the beach of Venice. It was so nice, and I got up to go to the bathroom, and I saw a light on in the kitchen, and I went, and she was there painting, and it was like midnight. And at first, like a parent, I got mad. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Painting Krishna's lotus feet." It's like what all the scriptures talk about. I'm like, okay, so I sat down and watched, because otherwise, how can you get mad at that? So, Jnana Timida. Oh, gee, what's that? The papers here. Those who learn the invocation. Jnana Timidandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Totalaye Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anapeta Krityam Dvaipayano Viraka Tadua Juhava Putre Tritan Mayatayo Tadavo Banedush Tang Sarva Bhuta Hridayam Muni Manatosmi Bhaktya Vahinai Aparada Lakshai Tagmamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitwam Sharanam Prapadyam Rinde Namaste Charanara Rindam Tavevasmi Najivami Tambina Iti Vigairade Tam Nayanam Charanantike. First of all, I offer my heartfelt obeisances to my beloved Holy Master, Nityalila Vishnu Vishnu Padasot Sot Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, also unto Nityalila Vishnu Vishnu Padasot Sot Shishimad Bhakti Vigyan Bharti Goswami Maharaj, Nityalila Vishnu Vishnu Padasot Sot Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and to our entire Rupa Nugata Varga, to our guardians on this path of bhakti. And to all the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Yasyam vai shuyamanayam Krishne parama purushe bhakti rupadyate pumsa shoka mokha vayapaha. Only by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. So that is what happens when we sincerely read and hear Srimad Bhagavatam and all of the Vedas. Right? Yeah, so good. So we pray to, O Prabhu, you're not a book. You are Sukadeva Goswami yourself, Parikshit Maharaj yourself, Krishna yourself, in this case, Jad Bharat yourself, and Maharaj Rahugna. And we hear, I haven't realized or understood, but we hear that Radharani is in every verse. So, praying to understand that tattva one day soon, very soon. So we've been reading this pastime of Jad Bharat and Maharaj Rahugana. Haribol! Welcome back. Are you healed? Yay! And smiling. Yeah. But he wasn't attached to those teeth, right?
I thought they would make me less wise. But I seem to be okay.
Good one. Nice.
Oh, check them out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it doesn't swell up.
So we've been hearing this conversation of Maharaj Rahugana and Jad Bharat, And we've heard that Bart became attached to a deer, so much so that in his next life he became a deer. And then he became Jed Bart, who's seemingly dumb and, what's the word? A dullard, which he chose to be, to not be engaged in the affairs of the material world and with materialistic people. Just like we've heard our Srila Gorkishor's Babaji Maharaj did the same. He didn't want to be so connected and so close and have all these materialistic people coming to him with their questions and problems, so he went into a latrine and he did his bhajan there. And we've heard of other different exalted personalities like Vamsidas Babaji as well. You know, he put fish bones and things around him so people think he's, tobacco pipes, yeah. So, it's to keep the materialistic people away. So this is what Jed Bart did in this incarnation. And we learned from his attachment to the deer, what happens when we become attached. We want to be, of course, affectionate but not attached. And so, sometimes we leave milk out, or we'll feed animals that live outside, or if we lived in a bigger property, we would do that. Here we can't, because then we'll get the raccoons and the possums and all the rats and the living entities we don't want at Krishna's temple. But still, not to, what's the word? Yeah. Yay, Haribol. Not to neglect or be, what's the word for hate? Appalled. Yeah, not to be averse, but not to get attached. So, Jed Bart has been, Maharaj Rahugana was just hearing these amazing, amazing instructions and katha from Jed Bart after being very cruel to him, mean to him, because he was not such a nice king, just being very heavy. And so Jed Bart schools him on the problems of being these bodily designations, which starts with our mind. In our mind, we think, I am a man, and I am a woman, and I am this, and I am that. And then comes all the issues and problems that follow with that. So Maharaj Rahugana is amazed and kind of transformed. So this next chapter, the previous chapter we finished was, Jed Bart instructing King Rahugana. Now we're on the conversation between Maharaj Rahugana and Jed Bart. So King Rahugana said, O most exalted personality, you are not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By the influence of your true self, all kinds of contradiction in the sastras have been removed. In the dress of a friend of a Brahmin, you are hiding your transcendental blissful position. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Oh, another good lesson also is that we don't know who anybody is. Sometimes we think, people are just out there or weird or annoying, or whatever. We know with Jed Bart, they didn't know. He seemed, he's shaking the palanquin, he couldn't carry it right. He seems like a dullard, but actually exalted personality. So with Syamarani, he always tells the example of, especially for being harmonious, like the Jews, there was no one coming to their temple. And they're like, why is no one coming? Why is no one coming? And then one of the advisors said, we treat everyone, think that everyone who comes in is the next Messiah. And if we think, and so then people started coming, and they're like, oh, is that person the next Messiah? Is that person? Oh, maybe it's him. And they became sweet and loving and kind to everyone, and then the temple filled up. So, oh, best of the Brahmins, my body is filled with dirty things, and my vision has been bitten by the serpent of pride. Due to my material conceptions, I am diseased. Your nectarian instructions are the proper medicine for one suffering from such a fever, and they are cooling waters for one scorched by the heat. Whatever doubts I have about a particular subject matter, I shall ask you about later. For the time being, these mysterious yoga instructions you have given me for self-realization appear very difficult to understand. Please repeat them in a simple way so that I can understand them. My mind is very inquisitive, and I want to understand this clearly. O Master of yogic power, you said that fatigue resulting from moving the body here and there is appreciated by direct perception, but actually there's no fatigue. It simply exists as a matter of formality. By such inquiries and answers, no one can come to the conclusion of the absolute truth. Because of your presentation of this statement, my mind is a little disturbed. The self-realized Brahmin, Jed Bharat, said, among the various material contaminations and permutations, there are various forms and earthly transformations. For some reason, these move on the surface of the earth and are called palanquin carriers. Those material transformations which do not move are gross material objects like stones. In any case, the material body is made of earth and stone in the form of feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs, torso, throat, and head. Upon the shoulders is the wooden palanquin, and within the palanquin is the so-called king of Sovira. Oh, is that in the purport? The body of the king is simply another transformation of earth. But within that body, your lordship is situated and falsely thinking that you are the king of the state of Sovira. All right. So he's again, pointing out his identifying, I am king, I am the monarch of all, I can treat anyone however I want. It is a fact, however, that these innocent people carrying your palanquin without payment are certainly suffering due to this injustice. Their condition is very lamentable because you have forcibly engaged them in carrying your palanquin. This proves that you are cruel and unkind. Yet due to false prestige, you were thinking that you were protecting the citizens. This is ludicrous. You were such a fool that you could not have been adored as a great man in an assembly of persons advanced in knowledge. All of us on the surface of the globe are living entities in different forms. Some are moving and some are not moving. All of us come into existence, remain for some time, and are annihilated when the body is again mingled with the earth. We are all simply different transformations of the earth. Different bodies and capacities are simply transformations of the earth that exist in name only, for everything grows out of the earth, and when everything is annihilated, it again mingles with the earth. This is really good things for book distribution, isn't it? In other words, we are but dust, and we shall but be dust. Everyone can consider this point. One may say that varieties arise from the planet Earth itself. However, although the universe may temporarily appear to be the truth, it ultimately has no real existence. The Earth was originally created by a combination of atomic particles. The Earth was originally created but these particles are impermanent. Actually, the atom is not the cause of the universe, although some philosophers think so. Is that like the Big Bang or something? It is not a fact that the varieties found in this material world simply result from atomic juxtaposition or combination. This is Prabhupada in his purport. He quotes this verse from the Gita 7:4. Bhumir apo nalo vayo. The ultimate cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and only those in ignorance trying to find out other causes by proposing different theories. Since this earth has no real ultimate existence, the things within it, shortness, differences, grossness, skinniness, smallness, bigness, result, cause, living symptoms, and materials are all imagined. They are all pots made of the same substance, earth, but they are named differently. The differences are characterized by the substance, nature, predisposition, time, and activity. You should know that they are all simply mechanical manifestations created by material nature. Do you all know the pastime of Ashtavakra? Yeah. It's there was a man, I guess he's like a sage, Ashtavakra, and he was Asta means 8, Vakra means crooked, so he's crooked in 8 places, and he was he walks into this assembly of, I think it was John Agrishi. It's in the Way of Love. And he's he walks in and he's all deformed, and he comes in and then they all start laughing at him. So he starts laughing too. And then they think, oh, he's so dumb. He's laughing. They don't know that they're thinking we're laughing at him. And And he's just laughing with them. And then they're like, why are you laughing? And he said, because you're all so dumb thinking that you're laughing at my deformed and crooked body, but you don't realize that we're not these bodies. So, like this, Judd Bart saying, this shortness, differences, grossness, skinny, big, small. So it just made me think of Ashtavakra. And then they were like, oh, he is super wise, despite his physical deformities. He's our guru. Oh, wow. Is that the next part of that story? Possibly. Wow. Well, let's look that up. What then is the ultimate truth? The answer is that non-dual knowledge is the ultimate truth. It is devoid of the contamination of material qualities. It gives us liberation. It is the one without a second, all-pervading and beyond imagination. The first realization of that knowledge is Brahman. Then Paramatma, the Supersoul, is realized by the yogis who try to see him without grievance. This is the second stage of realization. Finally, full realization of the supreme knowledge is realized in the Supreme Person. All learned scholars describe the Supreme Person as Vasudeva, the cause of Brahman, Paramatma, and others. I think Prabhupada or Gurudev, I can't remember, a really beautiful description of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, that Brahman, Brahman's like the effulgence, so they compared it to like a mountain. It's like, yeah, when it's really, really far away, you think, oh, there's like a mountain out there, but you can't really see it. You just see like a big thing in the air. So that's like Brahman. And then when you get closer, you can say, oh, it is a mountain, and you can see there's some, different peaks and dirt and trees and flowers, but you can't really see the flowers yet because you're still a little far. So that's like Paramatma, Super Soul. And then when you get close and you're like there at the mountain, and then you see like, oh, there's these beautiful flowers, and there's butterflies land, river. You can see it all. So that's Bhagavan. That's Krishna. Yeah. My dear King Rahugana, unless one has the opportunity, this is such a famous verse. Rahuganaita tapasa nayati nache jaya nirvapanad grihadva nachandasa naiva jalagni suryer vina mahat pada rajo pishekam. 5:12. Is this? We should learn this all together. 5:12? Isn't there? Wait a minute. 5:12:12. My dear King Rahugana, unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of the great devotee, one cannot realize the absolute truth. One cannot realize the absolute truth simply by observing celibacy, brahmacharya, strictly following the rules and regulations of householder life, leaving home as vanaprast, accepting sannyas, or undergoing severe penances in winter by keeping oneself submerged in water, or surrounding oneself in summer by fire and the scorching heat of the sun. There are many other processes to understand the absolute truth, but the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. So it's kind of like what also we were reading the other day, Nectar Devotion, or the definition of bhakti. We can't get bhakti through karma, gyan, austerities, like this, only through unadulterated, like full, one-pointed, akantic, one-pointed devotion to the Lord through the mercy of the sadhus, through the pure devotee. Yes, yeah. Who are the pure devotees mentioned here? In assembly of pure devotees, there is no question of discussing material subjects like politics and sociology. And in assembly of pure devotees, there is discussion only of the qualities, forms, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is praised and worshipped with full attention. In the association of pure devotees, by constantly hearing such topics respectfully, even a person who wants to merge into the existence of the absolute truth abandons this idea and gradually becomes attached to the service of Vasudeva. In a previous birth, I was known as Maharaj Bharat. I attained perfection by becoming completely detached from material activities through direct experience. and through indirect experience I received understanding from the Vedas. I was fully engaged in the service of the Lord, but due to my misfortune I became very affectionate to a small deer, so much so that I neglected my spiritual duties. Due to my deep affection for the deer, in my next life I had to accept the body of a deer. My dear heroic king, due to my past sincere services to the Lord, I could remember everything of my past life, even while in the body of a deer. Because I am aware of the fall down in my past life, I always keep myself separate from the association of ordinary men. Being afraid of their bad materialistic association, I wander alone, unnoticed by others. Simply by associating with exalted devotees, anyone can attain perfection of knowledge, and with the sword of knowledge, one can cut to pieces the illusory associations within this material world. Through the association of devotees, one can engage in the service of the Lord by hearing and chanting. Thus, one can revive his dormant Krishna consciousness, and sticking to the cultivation of Krishna consciousness, return home, back to Godhead, even in this life. Let's read that purport, since that's the end of this chapter. It's only 10:30. Srila Prabhupada says, to become liberated from material bondage, one must give up the association of worldly people and accept the association of devotees. Positive and negative processes are mentioned in this regard. Through the association of devotees, one develops Krishna consciousness, which is dormant within. This Krishna consciousness movement is giving this chance to everyone. We are giving shelter to everyone who is serious about progressing in Krishna consciousness. We arrange for their lodging and board so that they can peacefully cultivate Krishna consciousness and return home, back to Godhead, even in this life. It's so sweet because this morning when I went for a walk with Didi, she said the same thing. She said, she's obviously her, SVA, she's, we are facilitators. So sweet. So like Prabhupada's saying, we arrange for lodging and board so they can cultivate Krishna consciousness. Okay, let's see how many. Oh man, we should just finish this volume 1. Further talks between King Rahugana and Jud Bharat. Jud Bharat, who had fully realized Brahman, continued, my dear King Rahugana, the living entities wanders on the path of the material world, which is very difficult for him to traverse, and he accepts repeated birth and death. Being captivated by the material world under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun, the living entity can see only the 3 fruits of activities under the spell of material nature. These fruits are auspicious, inauspicious, and mixed. He thus becomes attached to religion, economic development, sense gratification, and the monistic theory of liberation, merging with the Supreme. He works very hard day and night, exactly like a merchant who enters a forest to acquire some articles to sell later for profit. However, he cannot really achieve happiness within this material world. O King Rahugana, in this forest of material existence there are 6 very powerful plunderers. When the conditioned soul enters the forest to acquire some material gain, the 6 plunderers misguide him. Thus, the conditioned merchant does not know how to spend his money, and is taken away by these plunderers, like tigers, jackals, and other ferocious animals in a forest that are ready to take away a lamb from the custody of its protector. The wife and children enter the heart of the merchant and plunder him in so many ways. In this forest there are dense bowers composed of thickets of bushes, grass, and creepers. In these bowers, the conditioned soul is always disturbed by cruelly biting mosquitoes, envious people. Sometimes he sees an imaginary palace in the forest, and sometimes he is bewildered by seeing a fleeting friend or ghost, which appears like a meteor in the sky. My dear king, the merchant on the forest path of the material world, his intelligence victimized by home, wealth, relatives, and so forth, runs from one place to another in search of success. Sometimes his eyes are covered by the dust of a whirlwind, that is to say, in his lust he is captivated by the beauty of his wife, especially during her menstrual period. Thus his eyes are blinded and he cannot see where to go or what he is doing. Wandering in the forest of the material world, the conditioned soul sometimes hears an invisible cricket making harsh sounds, and his ears become very much aggrieved. Sometimes his heart is pained by the sounds of owls, which are just like the harsh words of his enemies. This is so poetic. Sometimes he takes shelter of a tree that has no fruits or flowers. He approaches such a tree due to his strong appetite, and thus he suffers. He would like to acquire water, but he is simply illusioned by a mirage, and he runs after it. Sometimes the conditioned soul jumps into a shallow river, or being short of food grains, he goes to beg food from people who are not at all charitable. Sometimes he suffers from the burning heat of household life, which is like a forest fire. And sometimes he becomes sad to have his wealth, which is as dear as life, plundered by kings in the name of heavy income taxes. Yeah. Sometimes, being defeated or plundered by a superior, powerful agent, a living entity loses all his possessions. He then becomes morose, and lamenting their loss, he sometimes becomes unconscious. Sometimes he imagines a great palatial city in which he desires to live happily with his family members and riches. He thinks himself fully satisfied if this is possible, but such so-called happiness continues only for a moment. Sometimes the merchant in the forest wants to climb the hills and mountains, but due to insufficient footwear, his feet are pricked by small stone fragments and by thorns on the mountain. Being pricked by them, he becomes very aggrieved. Sometimes a person who is very attached to his family becomes overwhelmed with hunger, and due to his miserable condition, he becomes furious with his family members. The conditioned soul in the material forest is sometimes swallowed by a python or crushed. At such a time, he is left lying in the forest like a dead person, devoid of consciousness and knowledge. Sometimes other poisonous snakes bite him. Being blind to his consciousness, he falls down into a dark well of hellish life with no hope of being rescued. It's like in the Prahlad Charita, the man who's in the forest and he falls into the well, and then it's like on the kupam, and he catches on to the branches, and so there's like snakes below him that are wanting to reach up and grab him, and on top, this tiger comes. Is it a tiger, right? That wants to come and try and get him, and he's freaking out, fighting for his life, and all of a sudden this honey gets dropped from the sap of a tree, and he sticks his tongue out and he catches some, and he's like, and he thinks everything's fine. But, so it's like this dark well of hellish life. And like the example Didi always gives too, like someone's in a hospital, they're all banned, they're like on IV and broken this, broken that, and the family member comes in like, how are you? Oh, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. So, Srila Prabhupada, we're so fortunate. And Prabhupada has come to the West, given us this way out. And not even just way out, way to be, how to deal, how to process, because like Jesus says, be in the world but not of the world. So Prabhupada's given us, and our Gurudev and our Gurus, our Acharyas, given us this process by which we can move through this world as undisturbed as possible. Sometimes, in order to have a little insignificant sex enjoyment, one searches after debauched women. In this attempt, one is insulted and chastised by the women's kinsmen. This is like going to take honey from a beehive and being attacked by the bees. Sometimes, after spending lots of money, one may acquire another woman for some extra sense enjoyment. Unfortunately, the object of sense enjoyment, the woman, is taken away or kidnapped by another debauchee. Sometimes the living entity is busy counteracting the natural disturbances of freezing cold, scorching heat, strong wind, excessive rainfall, and so forth. When he is unable to do so, he becomes very unhappy, like Radhika and I in the summer here. Sometimes he is cheated in business transactions one after another. In this way, by cheating, living entities create enmity amongst themselves. On the forest path of material existence, sometimes a person is without wealth, and due to this does not have a proper home, bed, or sitting place, nor proper family enjoyment. He therefore goes to beg money from others, but when his desires are not fulfilled by begging, he wants to borrow or steal the property of others. Thus he is insulted in society. Due to monetary transactions, relationships become very strained and end in enmity. Sometimes the husband and wife walk on the path of material progress, and to maintain their relationship, they work very hard. Sometimes due to scarcity of money or due to disease conditions, they are embarrassed and almost die. My dear king, on the forest path of material life, first a person is bereft of his father and mother, and after their death, he becomes attached to his newly born children. In this way, he wanders on the path of material progress and is eventually embarrassed. Nonetheless, no one knows how to get out of this, even up to the moment of death. There were and are many political and social heroes who have conquered enemies of equal power. Yet due to their ignorance and believing that the land is theirs, they fight one another and lay down their lives in battle. They are not able to take up the spiritual path accepted by those in the renounced order. Although they are big heroes and political leaders, they cannot take to the path of spiritual realization. Sometimes the living entity in the forest of material existence takes shelter of creepers and desires to hear the chirping of the birds in those creepers. Being afraid of roaring lions in the forest, he makes friends with cranes, herons, and vultures. Being cheated by them, the living entity in the forest of the material world tries to give up the association of these so-called yogis, swamis, and incarnations and come to the association of real devotees. But due to misfortune, he cannot follow the instructions of the spiritual master or advanced devotees. Therefore, he gives up their company and again returns to the association of monkeys who are simply interested in sense gratification and women. He derives satisfaction by associating with sense gratifiers and enjoying sex and intoxication. In this way, he spoils his life simply by indulging in sex and in intoxication. Looking into the face of other sense gratifiers, he becomes forgetful and thus approaches death. When the living entity becomes exactly like a monkey, jumping from one branch to another, he remains in the tree of household life without any profit but sex. Thus he is kicked by his wife just like the he-ass. Unable to gain release, he remains helplessly in that position. Sometimes he falls victim to an incurable disease, which is like falling into a mountain cave. He becomes afraid of death, which is like the elephant in the back of that cave, and he remains stranded, grasping at the twigs and branches of a creeper. O killer of enemies, Maharaj Rahugana, if the conditioned soul somehow or other gets out of his dangerous position, he again returns to his home to enjoy sex life, for that is the way of attachment. Thus, under the spell of the Lord's material energy, he continues to loiter in the forest of material existence. He does not discover his real interest, even at the point of death. My dear King Rahugana, you are also a victim of the external energy, being situated on the path of attraction to material pleasure. So that you may become an equal friend to all living entities, I now advise you to give up your kingly position and the rod by which you punish criminals. Give up attraction to the sense objects and take up the sword of knowledge sharpened by devotional service. Then you will be able to cut the hard knot of illusory energy and cross to the other side of the ocean of nescience. What is that verse that we learned? Even if one is the most sinful of all sinners, if he is situated on the boat of transcendental knowledge, he can cross the ocean of material miseries. Now King Rahugana replies. King Rahugana said, "This birth as a human being is the best of all. Even birth among the demigods and the heavenly planets is not as glorious as birth as a human being on this earth. What is the use of the exalted position of a demigod? In the heavenly planets, due to profuse material comforts, there's no possibility of associating with devotees. It is not at all wonderful that simply by being covered by the dust of your lotus feet, one immediately attains the platform of pure devotional service to Udhokshaja, which is not available even to great demigods, like Brahma. By associating with you just for a moment, I am now freed from all argument, false prestige, and lack of discrimination, which are the roots of entanglement in the material world. Now I am free from all these problems. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the great personalities, whether they walk on the earth's surface as children, young boys, avadhuts, or great Brahmins. Even if they are hidden under different guises, I offer my respects to all of them. By their mercy, may there be good fortune in the royal dynasties that are always offending them." Srila Sukadeva Goswami continued, "My dear king, O son of Mother Uttara, there were some waves of dissatisfaction in the mind of Jud Bharat due to his being insulted by King Rahugana, who made him carry his palanquin. But Jud Bharat neglected this, and his heart again became calm and quiet like an ocean. Although King Rahugana had insulted him, He was a great Paramahamsa. Being a Vaishnav, he was naturally very kind-hearted, and he therefore told the king about the constitutional position of the soul. It's just me remember one time Gurudev and Badger said, even if someone urinates on you, we should tolerate them. Being a Vaishnava, he was naturally very kind-hearted, and he therefore told the king about the constitutional position of the soul. He then forgot the insult because King Rahugana pitifully begged pardon at his lotus feet. After this, he began to wander all over the earth just as before. After receiving lessons from the great devotee Jedbart, King Rahugana of the state of Sovira became completely aware of the constitutional position of the soul. He thus gave up the bodily conception completely. My dear king, whoever takes shelter of the servant of the Lord is certainly glorified, because he can, without difficulty, give up the bodily conception. King Parikshit then told Sukadeva Goswami, my dear Lord, O great devotee sage, you are omniscient. You have very nicely described the position of the conditioned soul, who is compared to a merchant in the forest. From these instructions, intelligent men can understand that the senses of a person in the bodily conception are like rogues and thieves in that forest, and one's wife and children are like jackals and other ferocious animals. However, it is not very easy for the unintelligent to understand the purport of this story, because it is difficult to extricate the exact meaning from the allegory. I therefore request Your Holiness to give the direct meaning. So that ends Bhaktivedanta Purport's 5th Canto, 13th chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Further Talks Between King Rahugana and Jedbart. Jai. So on Tuesday, we will hear, what is he asking to hear next? I request Your Holiness to give the direct meaning from Sukadeva Goswami. How the Jedbart, how he, this whole forest fire we just heard about, all the jackals and rogues, and if we're not realizing that we're soul, constitutional soul, then we get caught up in everything we just heard. So he's saying it's not easy for unintelligent to understand this story. So he's asking him to give a purport. Yeah. So we'll hear it Tuesday. Monday we're going to the Martin Luther King parade. So we will. Oh my gosh. Jai. Saturday we're going to the market, Coconut Grove Market, a Sunday program. Yeah. Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,